Flight, you go ahead.
Mid 46 South Road.
One call, 3 phone actually. 10-4. Captain 4 to go to that.
We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll sing God Bless America, and we'll have some inspiration from Ken Wilber. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America, land that I love, stand beside her and guide her through life with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. It's a good singing group, I'll tell you. Thank you, seats, please.
Welcome, everybody. One of the things we do at Kiwanis is we have a moment of inspiration. And I don't know if you'll find this inspiring, but I'll give it a shot with you. I tried to find something that I thought related in one way or another to you, our guests today, and those that we're trying to honor. The first one is from the Bible, actually. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." And I remember when I was a kid, we used to always call the policemen the peacemakers. When I go to have somebody that was your friend when you were a kid, you go to the peacemaker. Another thing I read is actually a quote from a policeman, police officer Andrew Lorinaire. I found it online. It says the following: "What most people do not understand is that you could be the biggest thug had ever existed. But if you needed help, we would be there. We go and we help. It's what we do. And that's what we think you do. And we're so glad to have you here to be recognized by us, because you as police folks are very important to our community and to us at Kiwanis."
Thank you, Ken. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody. The first thing we're going to do is eat, and then we'll start with the ceremonies afterwards. So to get started, I assume some people have to get back to work. Walt, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Walt.
Well, it's my pleasure as an Easton Kiwanis and also a former Easton police officer to be able to master ceremonies for this Police Officer of the Year recognition. One thing I would like to do for Kiwanis, most of the police officers know the two people that I'm going to be acknowledging, but our members don't. Because of the COVID pandemic, the previous couple of years, we were not able to do this ceremony or have a reception such as we're having today for Brian. But I'd like to acknowledge the two previous recipients of the Police Officer of the Year award. One of them is sitting back there at the very back table. Vince, would you stand up so that we can acknowledge you? All right, thank you, Vince. Also, last year's recipient, who we did not have the honor of being able to recognize, is Detective John Pipperado. John, would you stand up so that we can So it is my privilege to be able to be the master of ceremonies for this event the last several years, and I'm glad we're back this year to be able to do this. Back in 1981, one of our merchants, Tom Stotts, who was president of the Kiwanis Club at the time, and also a Easton Kiwanian, who was also chief of police at the time, William Cunningham, got together and talked about the possibility of recognizing a member of the Easton Police Department as a Police Officer of the Year. So that is when it started, and we try to have it each year sometime around whatever week that that May 15th falls, which happens to be a Sunday this year. But back in 1962, President John F. Kennedy wanted to recognize the police officers, particularly police officers of law enforcement that gave their life in the line of duty. And so a resolution was passed in October of 1962, recognizing that the week in which May 15th fell would be law enforcement week, and the specific day of May 15th is known as Law Enforcement Memorial Day, which is specifically when the police officers or anybody in law enforcement who sacrificed their life in the line of duty are recognized as those officers who sacrificed their life in doing their duty as a law enforcement officer. We have our recipient for this year here, which is family. And Chief Scalzo, I'd like to have you come up and talk a bit about how, or what it was that gave Brian the opportunity to be recognized as his officer there.
Thank you all. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming as we honor 2021 Easton Police Officer of the Year, Detective Brian Byrd. Also, I want to thank the Kiwanis Club of Easton for this award, for hosting the award and having done so since 1981, which is actually 40 years this year of Easton Police Officer of the Year award. It means so much. So every year I try to stand up here and express how important an award like this is to us. And not just to the officer who receives it, but ultimately to the entire department. As many of you know, especially as you see what's going on across the country, law enforcement is an extremely difficult job. And very often we get criticized and scrutinized for the dangerous work that we do. And it's very rare that an individual or a group or a community group such as the Kiwanis Club stands up and says thank you for all the hard work that you do. They say that they recognize it, they appreciate it, and that's why it means so much to us in this profession. So for the award and for the recognition to the Kiwanis Club of Easton, we say thank you. Like Walt had mentioned, in 1961, President John F. Kennedy basically just signed a proclamation saying that May 15th would be Police Officer Memorial Day. And the week that surrounds that would be Police Week. And he did so to make sure that we as a nation never forget those officers who gave their lives in the line of duty to protect the citizens of this nation. I find it fitting that when we stand together to remember those officers who paid the ultimate sacrifice, that we take a moment as a department to recognize an officer, or as we're doing here today, several officers who have worked so hard and so diligently for the city of Easton, basically protecting the citizens of this community. So what I'd like to do today, I know Walt already mentioned and identified some of the past recipients, but what I'd like to do is just kind of do a little bit more than that. I want to basically recognize them by reading not only the proclamation that was given to them, but also the submission that was actually produced when they were given the actual award of Officer of the Year. So I'd just like you to hear a little bit about the officers who got those past awards and what they did for our department. So I'm going to start with 2019, and that Officer of the Year, again, was Officer Vince Brunio. So if I could have Officer Brunio stand up again for me. Now, Vince, like I mentioned, had already received his award, and as such, he received it back in 2020, which was obviously at the heart of COVID. So we weren't able to gather in this type of forum at a banquet, although I said we tried to recognize him through the time, but obviously this means a lot here as well, so I want to take a moment to recognize. So this submission was actually produced by then Lieutenant, now Captain Chris Foley. And this was a submission that was basically submitted to the captain, saying that he believed that this should be considered for this, then every supervisor in our department votes on it to determine if he's worthy of the So I'm going to read that to you first. I'm submitting this letter to nominate Officer Vince Brunio for the 2019 Easton Police Officer of the Year. Officer Brunio has been a member of the Easton Police Department since May 1st of 2002. Since his hire, he has served the department in the patrol division as a general patrol officer and as a circle officer where he is currently assigned. By being primarily assigned to the walking patrol, Officer Brunio is the unofficial face of the Easton Police Department to downtown visitors and business owners. In 2019, Officer Burke made 17 criminal arrests, 7 warrant arrests, wrote 242 calls. These statistics are in addition to countless number of phone calls and interactions that Officer Burke dealt with daily. Officer Brunio's greatest strength is his willingness to assist others. The officer just assists without question or hesitation. This is on display every day, whether it be handling calls, walk-ins, for sector officers or addressing quality of life issues for residents. Officer Bruno further assists with the department by taking on minor investigations that would otherwise be forwarded to CID. By handling these cases, Officer Bruno lightens the caseload of the CID detectives, allowing them to focus more on complex issues and other investigations. Another example of assisting the department is that in August of 2019, the squad had 2 of its officers injured in unrelated incidents. Both officers have been out of work since. Without hesitation, Officer Bruno stepped up, offered to adjust his schedule as needed to fill in for those vacancies. These are just a few of the examples where Officer Bruno has offered his assistance, placing the Easton Police Department above himself. These are just a few examples of why I'm nominating Officer Bruno for the Easton Police 2019 Officer of the Year. And the proclamation reads as follows. It is hereby recognized that Police Officer of the Year for the 2019, Vince Bruno was hired by the City of Easton Police Department on May 1st, 2002, was assigned to the Patrol Division. Officer Bruno was later assigned to the Department Circuit Position. Before his service to the City of Easton, Officer Vince Bruno served his country on board the USS Woodrow Wilson, a nuclear missile submarine, until honorably discharged in 1995. During his service, he was awarded the National Defense Medal during Operation Desert Storm. During the past year, Officer Vince Bruno made 17 criminal arrests, 7 warrant arrests, handled 242 calls for service. He has always placed the needs of the department ahead of his own and has been tasked with many duties not generally assigned to his position. Throughout his career, Officer Vince Bruno has been decorated with the following commendations: a letter of commendation from the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, unit citations, a certificate of recognition from Safe Harbor for his work with people in drug and alcohol recovery. Officer Vince Bruno is also assigned to the Police Department Bicycle Unit and Crime Scene Processing Unit. Officer Vince Bruno has been dedicated to the mission of the Easton Police Department and its goal to make the community safe. Due to this dedication, Officer Vince Bruno has sacrificed many hours away from his home and family. For his outstanding service dedication, Officer Vince Bruno was named the 2019 Officer of the Year. On behalf of the Department of the City, Vince, thank you for all your service. Okay, so now moving on to the 2020 Police Officer of the Year. And again, very much the same situation. We weren't able to have a ceremony such as this because of COVID constraints. So I'd like to recognize again Inspector John Pipperado, if you could please stand. The mission for Inspector Pipperado is as follows. And this was actually submitted by his supervisor, Lieutenant Matt Lowell. Please accept this letter nominating Detective John Pipperado for the 2020 Easton Police Officer of the Year Award. Detective Pipperado joined the department as an officer in 2004. He first served in the Patrol Division and assisted in accreditation. Furthermore, served as a defensive tactics instructor and as a member of the Special Response Unit. Furthermore, outside of the work, Detective Pipperado is a dedicated father that has been devoted his spare time working with youth while coaching baseball for Palmer Athletic Association and football Alpha Youth Athletic Association. Since 2011, Detective Pipperado has proudly served as a city detective, always professionally representing the Criminal Investigation Division. He has additional responsibilities because he also serves as support liaison and a property and evidence custodian. Detective Pipperado has become an integral member of the CID. He is often relied upon by others for assistance with respect to overall experience and knowledge, which includes outstanding evidence processing and responsible abilities. He is eager to learn whatever knowledge is required to accomplish any investigative task. He's trained both patrol officers and detectives regarding evidence processing techniques that has made our agency more efficient and has given us a greater ability to better serve more citizens with those police services. Detective Pipperado also ensures that crime scene processing equipment and vehicles are in good working condition and supplies are available when needed by officers and detectives. Because of his commitment, dedication, determination, and professionalism, he has earned exceptional and high achiever ratings on 2020 performance evaluations. The ratings of this nomination are also a direct result of his commitment and constant drive to help others, regardless of if the fellow members of the EPD were a citizen that could use his assistance. Detective Pipperado is regularly commended for his quality of work. He often volunteers to come in early and stay late and assist with covering calls to help other detectives. During 2020, Detective Pipperado was instrumental in both as a lead detective and supporting investigator with respect to all types of investigations, from violent crimes to basic property crimes. One example of his dedication to CID EPD was apparent the night of June 18, 2020. Easton Police were investigating a homicide on the south side. Detective Pipperado had previously planned to go on vacation, driving to Florida very early the following morning. He still responded to assist with the investigation, working through the night, processing evidence, delaying his family vacation departure. Other notable investigative achievements during 2020 are as follows. He diligently continued the investigation from the previous year, which involved abuse of a 4-year-old child, resulting in an arrest during 2020. He cleared a shooting by arrest, confession obtained, and firearm seized. He was integral in leading the crime scene investigation efforts related to an attempted homicide which occurred on the south side where a victim was shot multiple times. Detective Pipperado persistently investigated shootings related to a violent felon, which led the state network of other agencies and continued working hard, assisting with moving the investigation forward until the dangerous offender, Boris Barner, was apprehended. Additionally, Detective Pipperado regularly liaisons with assistant district attorney staff and has been before the county grand jury when he believes he could be useful for tools for investigation. He also handles many matters related to Megan's Law investigations and violations and serves as a regular trusted contact, regularly assisting Megan's Law section officials. In closing, Detective Pipperado is committed, hardworking, successful detective. He always finds time to help others by regularly assisting co-workers, supervisors, and citizens. He is a constant professional and a team player, highly deserving of this award. And the proclamation reads as follows. Detective Pipperado is hereby recognized as Police Officer of the Year for the year of 2020. John Pipperado was hired by the City of Easton Police Department on February 6, 2004 and was assigned to the Patrol Division. On January 29, 2007, Officer John Pipperado was assigned to the Department of Defensive Tactics Unit. On August 2, 2010, Officer John Pipperado was assigned to the Department's Special Response Unit, where he serves as a breacher. On January 1, 2011, Officer John Pipperado was assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division as a criminal detective, where he serves as a crime scene processor, court liaison detective, and evidence custodian. During the past year, Detective John Pipperado continued to diligently investigate an incident from 2019 involving the abuse of a 4-year-old child, which resulted in the arrest and conviction of the suspect. Detective Pipperado also investigated attempted homicide, which resulted in a confession by the suspect, his arrest, and firearm seizure. Detective Pipperado was integral, leading the crime scene investigation of another attempted homicide incident with a violent felon who fled. He networked with multiple agencies to eventually locate the suspect in Virginia and apprehended. Throughout his career, Detective John Pipperado has been decorated with the following commendations: 12-unit citations for excellence in law enforcement and 1 commendation of merit. Detective John Pipperado has dedicated to the mission of the Easton Police Department and its goal to make our community safe. Due to this dedication, Detective John Pipperado has sacrificed many hours away from his family at home, and for his outstanding service and dedication, Detective John Pipperado is named the 2020 Police Officer. So now, again, congratulations to our past recipients, and again, this award means so much to us for so many different reasons. But now I'd like to move on to the 2021 recipient of the Officer of the Award, Detective Brian Byrd. And before I read the prepared presentation and proclamation, I want to say a few words about Brian, if I could. He began his law enforcement career with us in 2006, and he came to the department with confidence in himself and an apparent desire to me that he really wanted to serve this specific community. He quickly built his reputation with the department. He became a firearms instructor, and he joined our honor guard. In 2016, Brian was promoted through hard work and dedication to our vice division. He spent many years in that division where he worked hard to eradicate drugs and drug dealing within the city. After years of working undercover, he switched over to our criminal investigation side of the division, where he currently works, investigating crimes and managing departments and helping with the overwhelming load of property and evidence that the current department currently manages. As an officer, as a vice detective, as an SRU operator, and as an instructor, his work ethic is readily apparent. He works every day to make the city a safe place for the citizens who live, work, and visit our town. Brian actually came to the department. He had a military background, and as such, he brought a high level of discipline and respect with him to the job. Early in his career in 2008, Brian was asked by our country to deploy to Iraq as a member of the Army National Guard, and he did so without hesitation. He spent an entire year overseas away from everything that he knew, to include his career, his friends, and his family. That is who Brian has always seemed to be to me. He's someone that you can tell always puts service to this country, service to this community, service to fellow officers, and service to this department ahead of his own personal desires and even his own personal well-being. That attitude is carried on with him during his entire 16-year career. There hasn't been an instance that I'm aware of where we as a department have asked Brian or tasked him with something that he hasn't been able to willingly work on and ultimately achieve. He's always been there to answer the call, whether investigating complex drug investigations or high-level crime investigations, or simply fabricating a bankroll for the SRU operators to safely enter a home, which is obviously outside the realm of something lawful. I think a quality like that is something that deserves to be recognized. I'm thrilled to be standing here today, being able to recognize it through this award. On behalf of the department, Brian, on behalf of the city, on behalf of the command staff and the administration, we say thank you for always being there for the department and always being there for your fellow officers. Several years ago, I had a conversation with Tony Rodeep, who's a writer of the Express Times, and he asked me, Do you think as these officers win the award, especially your detectives, do you think that they mind that they're not necessarily getting the credit that they so readily or they so deserve? Because they kind of fly under the radar, especially with our vice detectives. We're not putting their names out there and letting the community know the things they're doing. And my answer to them then, and my belief on this topic then, and still is today, is that the detectives and detectives such as Brian Byrd, or detectives in general, and the officers of this department, don't do this job for recognition. I'm certain they don't do it for money. They do it because they see every day what crime, especially violent crime, can do to a community. They can see the horrific impact that it can have on a community, and as such, they've dedicated their lives to eradicate. So it's important that the command staff, whenever we get a chance, to say thank you to individuals like Brian, and to all of the officers of Texas that we do so, to make sure that they know that we do recognize it and that we do appreciate it, even though it may not always be out there in the public eye. I'd be remiss if I didn't take a moment to thank Brian's family, who are with us this afternoon, sitting up at the table in the front. Brian's work is absolutely essential to the safety of the citizens of this community. And for that to happen, he must dedicate himself to that cause. I realize, we as a command realize, that for him to be successful in what he does, he must take a lot of time away from you. For that, we as a department are extremely grateful for your sacrifice. I'm going to close by saying that Brian has spent the last 16 years of his life devoted to the department. He has spent time making his community, making his family, and making his department proud. As a chief of police, I couldn't ask an individual to do any more than that. Every year during this ceremony, I make the same statement about this award and about the recipient of the award, and that's this. I stand here today extremely proud of Detective Brian Byrd, not because of the award that he receives today, but because of the work that he does every day. On behalf of the department and the city, we thank you for all of your efforts. Now, before we present the award, we'll bring Brian up and present the award and read his proclamation. I know there are a few individuals who would like to just say a few quick words. So first, I'd like to introduce District Attorney Terry Howe. Like to come up. Terry has worked diligently with our department. It's been instrumental in our success. I'm proud to have him here with us this afternoon.
I won't be long. I want to say a couple of things first before I get into the detective. But first of all, thank you, Kiwanis. Thank you very much. The last couple of years have been difficult for law enforcement. Okay, real difficult. There's been an air about that permeated through our communities and our country about law enforcement, a lot of anti-feelings about law enforcement, maybe a national narrative that did not apply to this county. It certainly didn't apply to Easton. But the Kiwanis have powered through this. They powered through this, intent on doing this, and recognizing officers that need to be recognized. So on behalf of me, Kiwanis, and most of all of you guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's very important. You can't imagine how important it is for law enforcement, for us at the DA's office, and I know for Easton. Command staff at Easton Police. This obviously couldn't be done without your hard work. You putting these people in the positions that they're in in order for them to do the work that they do. So to the command staff, I thank you all. You really know how to put the people in the positions they need to be in. To Pippin and Vince, congratulations. I'm sorry we couldn't have done this same thing for you guys individually, but the fact that you're being recognized is a big deal because you both deserve it very, very much. So congratulations on that. Now, I only have one complaint with respect to Brian. I read the article in the Lehigh Valley Times, and the only thing I objected was the picture of Brian on the paper. Right? It shouldn't have been Brian. It should have been Nicole. Okay, because Nicole is the brains of this operation, without a doubt. And I think Brian has been that in 2 seconds. But Brian's a very special detective. The interesting thing about the people that win this, every single one of them have two things in common. Number one is they have an extraordinary work ethic. And it's a pleasure to see as a district attorney because it makes our job so much easier when there's an arrest. And the other thing is they don't just not seek out the attention, they shun it. They shun the attention. They don't want, well, Louisi might be the exception. The rest of them, they actually run in the other direction. I know, even the guys from prior years didn't want to take from Brian and come here, and they didn't. In fact, it's so grateful you're here. But Brian has taken it upon himself not just to have a thirst for knowledge and continue to get better, but he's also now become our resident expert for cell phone forensics and digital things out of the phones, and it's been a huge help to us because now we don't have to look all over the place, and he's always at a moment's call. So I thank you for that. This is a well-deserved, not just for you, Brian, but for your family. I'm glad that you're being recognized. And I just hope, and I really want this to continue. I wish everybody, I wish more organizations would do this for the county. But thank you and congratulations. Thank you.
Next, I'd ask Mayor Panto to please come up. Mayor Panto, his leadership, guidance, and support over the years have been unwavering for our department, which is an essential part of the success of any law enforcement officer. It's my honor to introduce him again this afternoon.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to the Kiwanis Club for doing this again. The 40 years is a long time. We appreciate it. Let me tell you what I really believe, okay? From my heart, I can tell you that people say the EC is doing great, and it is doing phenomenal. But the reason why it's doing phenomenal is because of men and women who wear the badge. We are very fortunate in EC. I'm very proud of our department because if you don't have a safe city, you don't have a city. You don't have people coming to your city, you don't have people living in your city, and crime being rampant and not under control is the worst thing that a mayor could have. And with the people in the Easton Police Department, we have a good department that really controls crime. And I really appreciate that from not just the 3 guys that are being honored today, but for all of our men and women in the 63 people that make up the department. It's very important. I get a lot of credit because I'm the face of the city, but it's not me. They really made our city safe and clean. And that's what's important. I want to recognize Councilmember Peter Milan and Councilmember Roger Ruggles who are with us today, and former Police Chief Skip Fairchild. The foundation comes up, and we're very fortunate. We have a good team in City Hall that works together. Council and the mayor's office, administration, my staff is phenomenal, as you can see from the command staff in the police department. But the police department really sets the tone for your community, and really, it's hard for us to rid our perception of being a rough, crime-ridden city. But the fact of the matter is, we had our first homicide in 3 years this year. We had a couple shootings, but not many. We don't have as many as other cities, but yet we get picked on. Our men and women in that department do such a great job. And I also want to thank the 3 judges that are here, because without them getting the people off the street, our guys can arrest people, but then the magistrates have to put them in jail. All right, and the judges have to put them in prison. That is really important. The process works when it works right. And I can honestly say, because of the detective division, that if you do the crime in Easton, you're going to do the time. There isn't a crime that we haven't solved. And I want to thank Brian and all the, I hit your head again because you're right. But the fact of the matter is, our criminal investigation division is sound. They're very good. They're very dedicated. All of our employees in the city are dedicated employees, but the police department is the one who puts their lives on the line every day. And I just want to let them know that I'm very proud of them, because I know what it's like for mayors who don't have good departments, who don't have good crime levels. And our crime, even people don't believe it, but it's below when I was in office back in the 80s. It was 10. Right? But it's below that. I mean, when I came in office, there was 1,700 Part 1 crimes. Today, there's less than 400. There's about 460. Less than 460 crimes, Part 1 crimes. I mean, that's a tremendous reflection of the men and women in that department. So I thank them very much. I thank the Kiwanis, because I think it's really important that we honor them and highlight the good work that they're doing. So I thank you all very much. Congratulations.
It's not gonna have Ryan come on up. I'm going to now read the submission for Detective Byrd for the 2021 Police Officer of the Year and the proclamation. This was submitted by Lieutenant Matt Wold, who is Detective Byrd's supervisor. I'm submitting Detective Brian Byrd for the 2021 Officer of the Year. Detective Byrd is currently a detective in the Criminal Investigation Division's unit and works a full caseload consisting of various types of criminal investigation. He is one of 3 evidence technicians in CID and assistant evidence control for the entire department. While working as a crime detective, evidence technician, he routinely works as the lead crime scene investigator for major incidents, including all violent crimes, and trains other officers and detectives in crime scene processing. He is also trained in cell phone forensics and is responsible for all forensic processing of all cell phones seized as evidence for the entire Easton Police Department. As a member of CID, he is also a task force officer with the FBI and acts as the liaison with the EPD and FBI case, as well as assist FBI in various duties. Detective Byrd is collateral assignment of being a member of the Easton Police Department Special Response Unit for the last 13 years. He is a team leader on the SRU, as well as a member of the Sierra Unit, which is Precision's long rifle unit. That's a sniper. The assistant is responsible for raid planning and execution, as well as training other members of SRU in weapons and tactics. Detective Byrd assists in training SRU members and EPD officers in firearms, chemical agents, less lethal and flash sound diversion devices as a certified firearms and tactical instructor. Due to his instructor status, extensive training and experience in CID and SRU, Detective Byrd has been involved in numerous major critical incidents that have positive outcomes and made the city of Easton a safer place. While working as Easton Police Detective, Detective Byrd has been recognized by many different federal, county, state, and municipal law enforcement agencies for his diligent work. Based on the facts above, I believe Detective Byrd deserves to be awarded the 2021 Police Officer of the Year. And the proclamation reads as follows. It is hereby recognized that Detective Brian Byrd to be the Easton Police Officer of the Year for the year 2021. Brian Burke was hired by the City of Easton Police Department on July 12, 2006, and was assigned to the Patrol Division. In 2010, he became a member of the Easton Police Department Special Response Unit. Also in 2010, Officer Byrd joined the department's Honor Guard. In 2013, Officer Byrd became one of the department's firearms instructors. In 2016, Officer Byrd was promoted to detective and assigned to the CID and the Vice Unit. In 2016, Detective Byrd switched units in CID and joined the crime detectives. He also became one of 3 evidence technicians within the department. While in CID, Detective Byrd also became a federal task force officer assigned to the FBI. In this role, he acts as Easton Police Department's liaison to the FBI and assists them with various investigations. Detective Byrd has been involved in numerous major critical incidents that have positive outcomes and made the city of Easton a safer place. For his diligent work, Detective Byrd has been recognized by many federal and state and municipal law enforcement agencies. Detective Brian Byrd has been dedicated to the mission of the Easton Police Department and its goal to make our community safe. Due to this dedication, Detective Brian Byrd has sacrificed many hours away from his home and family. For his outstanding service and dedication, Detective Brian Byrd's named Easton Police Officer of the Year for the year 2020.
So thank you for all the recognition that I received from the chief and people that are in this room. It really doesn't. It starts with my mother, who raised me, and my father, who I hear. They gave me a strong work ethic to never quit, I guess. Many years ago when I was a kid, I wanted to serve. I put that out in an article that was really nicely written by Tony Rodin. So I thank him for that. He did a good job of just expressing kind of my life in short. It's always been kind of around service and hard work. Thanks to my parents. And this is not just me that does this. This is everybody who wears his uniform. It takes all of us to make this mission happen and work. I'm not successful without my team and my guys. And I will say that, like I had said, my wife is definitely someone who helps with a lot. I would not be successful in this job if it wasn't without her. Many times have I got a phone call and said, "Oh, gotta go, bye," and left her in the delivery room, left her at many parties, holidays, and obviously she knows that with the job, the importance of this job is that it really comes first, and you have to be available. So, with her help, we're able to raise the kids and with our family. And thank you to everyone that's here and my family that's in blue. That's really what that means, kind of the most to I think everybody when they talk about that thin blue line. It really is true, because those are the people that you rely on more than sometimes even your family. Because I know I spend a lot more time with the guys I work with than I do with my wife and kids. It makes it a good experience. But thank you to everybody, and I really appreciate receiving this award. Thank you.
We have one more presentation to make, and Jerry, maybe this will, and those that mentioned, we hope we can continue to do this, but we've had to increase this plaque to be able to handle the award winners. We've got the 40 previous, and we still have another 20 to go yet, so we're good for another 20 years yet. I would like to present this to you, Scout. Thank you very much.
Mayor, you'll still be in office when. Thank you very much. Like I said, when I just spoke, this award means a lot, not just to the individuals who are on the plaque, but to the whole department. The recognition really does mean a lot. We don't get that very often, so but when you guys stand up and say thank you, it really does mean a lot to our guys, so we really appreciate it. Thank you.
I believe you have a presentation to make.
We know who the real person is.
Thank you all who chaired the committee. Other committee members who did a lot of work on this are Skip, Janet, Terry, Terry Thomas, Terry Howe, and my wife Sue. She's right here. But thanks to them for putting this together. Thank you to the Concord Club. It was a wonderful lunch. And this poor little guy, he's sitting here, he's looking at that dessert. He's ready to go. So that's all I have. Thank you for coming. Walt, anything else?
If anybody else wants dessert, there's already out there, so go to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.